So we want to move into, Anne is going to be doing a little presentation, a little teaching for us around unmet expectations and acceptance. And so I'd like to just introduce her briefly. So Anne Morrison is a therapist. She has a private practice on the island in her beautiful home with a beautiful view. And she provides clinical supervision and therapeutic services, wellness and counselor training, and she has an international client base. She's one of the senior trainers for the Satir Institute of the Pacific. She was one of the first graduates of the training for trainers for the Satir Institute. She's done work around the globe, New Zealand, Hong Kong, the States, Singapore. And we are very pleased and sort of like grateful for her to be a part of our training team. Anything I left out, Anne? She's an author also. She writes a column for the Chemainus Valley Courier, and her latest article was on healing the childhood impacts of sexual abuse. And she's written a monthly column for that newspaper for the past 8 years. So we'd like to welcome her as she presents to us about expectations and acceptance.
Thank you, Linda. What a lovely introduction. Thank you. It
You're
just
welcome.
makes me proud to be a part of our Satir community. And this is new for me, so being human, I can let you know I'm a little nervous. I have not taught on Zoom before, but it's wonderful to see the beautiful faces that are on my screen. And so I'm realizing we're human to human here. And I hope that what I've put together and want to share with you lands for you somewhere around the whole area of unmet expectations, which are especially important when we think about how to get to acceptance in this new world that we're living in. COVID-19 really turned everyone's world upside down. What we counted on in our status quo, what we took for granted, what was our familiar way to conduct our lifestyles no longer fits. It's just not possible. So we are in a new reality now, both externally, which immediately impacts us internally. So it's a very discombobulated time. We don't have any markers of where we're going, what it's going to look like, when we're going to transition back to anything that's familiar. How do we survive? Initially, we revert to old coping or survival patterns. We hang on to some impossible expectations as if we can somehow magically bring back the familiar status quo. For example, my husband and I, I'll just get over here. My husband and I had to cancel a planned 52nd anniversary celebration. We were going to go out of town. We planned it for months, and it was very special because we'd had a tough year with health issues, and we were kind of clear of those, and we said, okay, let's just go celebrate each other. It was a big deal. However, self-quarantine hit us like thunder. We couldn't do that. Initially, I thought, no worries. We can just keep that expectation. Next month we'll do it. I'll just rebook. No problem. Well, of course, as time unfolded, I realized that was not realistic. I had to let go of the expectation that I actually needed to go out, get off the island in order to celebrate each other at a particular time. So I recognized that really underneath this, we just wanted to relax. We just wanted to be with one another. We just wanted to feel loved by one another. And we realized we could meet those yearnings in the way that we related to each other at home. So that was resolved. We had another one. We were going to go camping. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. We bought an RV. It's parked in our driveway. My husband can't fly anymore, so the RV has special meaning. And we were really looking forward to going on camping trips with friends that we usually hang out with. Well, eventually I realized the RV's staying in the driveway and we're not making the trips that we had planned for April, May, and June. However, when I really came to terms with that, I recognized the priority was keeping ourselves safe and healthy. That's my number one priority, especially for my husband. So we decided, of course, we're not going. We could let it go. We enjoy nature, trees, wildlife, and the comfort of our own backyard. It's kind of like a different kind of camping. On a very simple level then, the pandemic meant we had to let go of a lot of expectations of what we thought we would be doing in March, April, May, June, and beyond. Some things, quite frankly, were easy to let go of. I was not looking forward to the bottle drive that I'm supposed to coordinate. Yay, I don't have to do it. There were many meetings that I was kind of dreading. That's easy. Clear the calendar. And I liked looking at an empty calendar with all these X's marking off, things that no longer are taking place. There was a freedom in that. So that wasn't very difficult. However, letting go of future plans that I was especially looking forward to around family was harder. It involved some grieving before I could really accept the new reality. For example, the whole area of travel restrictions. We have sons in New York and Australia with their families, and we are here. Every summer, our New York son and family come to us. They've done that for every year of our marriage. And they come in August, and they stay, and it's wonderful. And we have 2 granddaughters that I love seeing. We hang out. It's a very different life for them here in, Chemainus from New York. And of course, I was worried about them in New York because they were right in the thick of it. But I was still somehow believing, it's kind of like this magical thinking, they're still going to come. They're going to help us with this. They're going to be supportive. They're going to arrive. I was just counting the days. And then I looked at the calendar and realized, no, that's not possible. They're not coming. And so I moved into grieving. I was very sad. I got a lot of fear. I really catastrophized. And I don't know if everyone understands that word, but boy, I took it to the ultimate. If they can't come physically, are we going to die alone? That's where I ended up. I worried whether we would ever see them again. Gradually, I recognized that love is bigger than fear and that they are very savvy. They know how to keep themselves safe through what they need to do in New York. It's not a matter of they're never coming again. They'll come when it's safe to come. And meanwhile, for our yearnings of feeling connection, we began to make more contact with each other. And we see each other much more on our Zoom sessions. They're sending little dance videos because our son had to be the dance partner for our 13-year-old dance class that she's in online. And it was just delightful. So I feel like we're right in there with them in a way that we would have been in person during the summer. So our yearnings were met. But I had to go through the grieving. If I didn't acknowledge the grieving, it wouldn't have worked. So our new theme became, what we thought we needed and had to have, we don't really need it all. And that has eliminated so much out of our lives. And what a freedom. I don't need to go to spring sales. I don't need to always connect in a certain way with certain people. Like there's a freedom when we can get to that place. Adapting to our changed external world really involves addressing every dimension of our inner iceberg. The feelings that beg to be recognized, to be understood, to be heard, to be seen. We all know stuffing feelings just means that they're trapped, and that takes up a lot of energy, and we move into survival patterns that do not honor who we are. So not being ashamed of being sad and getting extra fearful, connecting with it, make room for it, let those feelings breathe, and you begin to heal. We also know that the ways we see ourselves and the world change when we're not doing the things that we typically would be doing. And that has a big impact, especially the world view with all the media and the angst that seems to be there in the universe. So rather than get caught up in it, we have to work to stay apart from it. We're a counterculture. We're proud to be a counterculture and representing inner peace and calm and wisdom and possibilities that each of us offer through our unique representation of our own life energy, as Linda was referencing. When we let go of unrealistic expectations, that frees us to have that wider lens, to see more options and develop new ways to meet our yearnings for connection, safety, belonging, and security. When we fulfill our yearnings, we are freed to glow in our natural light. In exploring this hold that unrealistic expectations can have, I always ask my clients, if that expectation was met, what would it give you? This provides an easy opening into the rich world of yearnings. And so the answers might include peace. I won't be stressed. I'll feel secure. I know that I can accomplish something then, that I matter. And the biggie at this point in time is a sense of connection. People are so yearning to feel a sense of connection within themselves so that they can feel balanced and in control of what's taking place for them, so that they can be free to be who they really are, as Linda was mentioning in the meditation, but also with others. That's been a real toughie for my clients. And in order to meet those kind of inner yearnings, we really do have to let go of expectations that we've created that lock us into believing we only have one way to get that yearning fulfilled. And if I had stuck with that, knowing that we could not go away on our 52nd anniversary, it would have left me feeling empty, resentful, angry, and sad. But of course, there's always more than one option. There are infinite options, but you have to be in a mind space and a mental health space to be able to see them. There's so many pathways to inner peace, safety, security that do not depend on externals. This is a big lesson for this time. As I have shared, to get to that ability to see other options, let me just double check this. We have to go through grieving. And as I mentioned, I sure did, but this is generic for people, everybody, every human being. We get sad when our special plans are dashed. We get anxious about what does the future hold? And in our day and age, what is it going to look like? Are we ever going back to what was before? And of course we can't. We get to be very intentional about what we bring forward. And we get angry. Why now? How could you hand me this when we just came through a tough time and we were beginning to finally feel some sunshine? And we bargain. I'm going to find my way around this. I don't need to let go. I'm going to make it work, which obviously doesn't sustain. So in those times when our hearts are broken and we're really searching, we want to call on our compassionate and self-comforting parts when the sadness or the lostness has taken over. We have the ability. Our heart energy is always there. If we try to resolve this in our heads, it's going to keep us from the neck up. It's not going to bring relief. But when we move to our hearts and tap into that compassion and tap into that unconditional love that we can have for ourselves, that compassion for ourselves, those parts feel understood and they can receive empathy. Gradually, then, we find that those strong feelings have less of a hold as we feel less afraid and more inwardly comforted. We begin to see a window in the dark house that we've been living in. We begin to feel lighter. Our perceptions shift. As we let go of the one option expectations, we see other ways we can have the experiences that we crave. When our yearnings are met, the options are infinite. And we have been developing ingenious ways to connect, to meet that yearning, to palpably feel one another's presence, to feel united with our neighbors and our country and the world. We have relatives in New Zealand and Australia and all over the world, and we feel like they're just next door. We're all going through this together. Something enormous is taking place. We put hearts in our windows. At least we're doing that in Chemainus. I don't know if that's beyond us, but we're supporting our frontline workers. And my neighbors and I go out at 7 o'clock at night and bang pots and pans and Indian drums and various things to support our healthcare workers. These are the same neighbors we would have just passed driving by. You know, oh yeah, a little wave, that's it. Now I'm really beginning to get to know them. And so we're planning a party 6 feet between us at the end of one of the driveways when the weather gets warm. We'll all be there. Community is absolutely impacted and changed and revived and transformed through what happens for us as individuals when we find creative ways to meet our expectations and coming from a more solid inner core. We begin to reach out to folks as we're not so lost in ourselves and really see who needs an extra hand. Where can I be of service? How can I use myself to help people in any situation feel connected, not so isolated, especially at this point in time. I'm finding that a lot of my clients are beginning to feel flat, just kind of like it's a little dismal. They just can't see where they're going. They're getting tired. They really need connection. And so there's lots of ways we keep that going. I phone 6 people every week, same list, 6 people. We do that as part of a spiritual community I'm in so that every person gets a phone call every week. You don't have to have a problem. It's not a therapy. We're just reaching out heart to fulfill the yearnings for connection. One final example I can give, a group of 10 women that I belong to, we've been meeting weekly for 10 years, Wednesday mornings at 10:30 until 12:30. We have our teacups and our goodies that we're eating, and we share stories, and we care about each other, and we share love, and it's just been wonderful, and we're a very mixed group of women. We love this. I look forward to it. Well, of course, with the COVID-19, that's not possible. We all went into a little bit of mourning. Oh no, we can't see each other that way. What will we do? This is how it got me through the week. So now we meet by Zoom, and we renamed our group called the Nick's Cafe Tea Group because it was Nick's Cafe where we always met. And we invited Nick to also join us. We meet at the same time, we bring our teacups, we show them to each other, and we share our stories and love for one another. We palpably are meeting our yearnings for connection, differently, but just as profoundly, and in some ways even more deeply because of what the kind of experiences you can have with one another on Zoom. So the moral of the story is that the COVID-19 situation crashed into our worlds as we knew them and experienced them. And it forced us to have a new normal, to accept what can't still carry on in the same old way with our automatic assumptions. And so there was a chasm, that in-between time now, where we grieve where no longer is possible, and then we're more able to open wholeheartedly and see new options that still fulfill unmet yearnings. Then our creativity and imaginations and inner wisdom has been released. It's at the self level. We work together to feel connected, loved, safe, secure, and a beautiful sense of belonging to all beings, to the interconnected web of existence across our globe, and the beautiful net of nature which holds us all in our light that can always be counted on, always. The relief of letting go unrealistic expectation brings us so much more space just to be in the world gently, lovingly, with more lightness, feeling and experiencing our sacred bodies and spirits much more reverently. We all deserve that freedom. So that concludes what I was going to share today. There's a couple of questions, and I'll just let you know what they are for your breakout rooms, your random breakout rooms. The first question is, What have been the hardest expectations that you had to let go of to find some inner peace at this time? What have been some of the hardest expectations that you have had to let go of to find some inner peace at this time? And secondly, when you let them go, what did you add in? What yearnings were met through what you added in from this place of acceptance? So it's what are the hardest expectations you had to let go, and then what did you add in? Because you have a lot more freedom when you release unrealistic expectations. So I wish you all peace, love, light, and wonderful breakout groups, which I think that Jen will now begin.
Yes, I will take care of the breakout rooms.
Yes.
Thank you, Anne. So yeah, expectations. What have we had to let go of and added in?